Okay, everyone, welcome to ROUTERGODS CCNA Starting Your Studies. This is the one everyone's been waiting for, and it is just past 6 o'clock. Thank you guys for being on time. There's about, how many people are in the room here? 30-ish, I think, maybe more. So that's pretty good. Shows there's a lot of interest. And just as a reminder to everyone, this is being recorded. Okay, so this chat, this meeting is being recorded. The video is being recorded. What you see on the screen, this hackpad is being recorded. My voice is being recorded. And if you go on audio, you will be recorded as well. As far as the chat itself, the typed out chat, that is not being recorded. It is not being recorded. A legal disclaimer. Anything I say is not necessarily the words of my employer, and I think that probably goes for Paul as well. So it does not reflect the views of our employer. That's it for the legal disclaimer. So what we're going to do today is we are going to answer the age-old question of how do you start studying for your CCNA. We're going to talk to you guys about the resources required, and then also tell you like a game plan that you can follow. So all the resources like, hold on for a second. Mute that guy, and mute that guy. There we go. All right, we're going to talk about the resources required and then go into a game plan. We'll talk about things like the gear to buy, the books to buy, what free workbooks are out there, what videos are out there. Paul will demo INE's video collection. We're not going to go through like every video, but he'll talk about how much it is, the free trial, the different things they offer for CCNA. And then, if he wants to spend some time talking about CCNP and CCIE stuff, a couple minutes, that's fine too. I'm going to demo CBT Nuggets. I'm also going to demo IP Expert for a little bit. Shouldn't be too long, but just to give you a taste of what's out there. And those definitely aren't the only vendors around. There are definitely others, and we'll talk about those. Okay, so if you see the hackpad, this is what we'll talk about. I'll be putting a link in the meetup and also a link in the YouTube page. Hold on for a second. Mute all.
All participants are muted.
There we go. Okay, so if you have any questions, feel free to stop me, type in the chat window your question, and I'll get to it. I'm going to stop past every couple sections just so you guys can catch up and have a chance to ask. Here we go. So the intended audience for this is obviously the people going for CCNA, but more specifically, it's people who are overwhelmed with all of the study options. There's so many books, and they just don't know what to do right now. They're too scared to take the first step. And that is the most important part, is taking that first step. And just a lot of people just get hung up on all the preparation and what to buy, and just too many options out there. And the way I kind of relate this to is it's different going into Best Buy versus Costco if you're going to buy something. So let's say you want to buy a keyboard. If you go to Costco, it's one keyboard, one or two. But usually it's that one Logitech keyboard with, it's got solar and it's got the Bluetooth. That's it, right? It's that one keyboard at Costco. It's a very easy decision. It's a yes or no. When you go to Best Buy and you want to buy a keyboard, I don't know how many they have. They have like 10 or 12 different kinds of keyboards, and it gets kind of crazy, and you just stand there paralyzed, not knowing what to do. So that's kind of what's happening here. Oh, one thing to keep in mind, even though there's so many resources out there, so many different ways of doing this, is everyone's different. What works for me, what works for Paul, might not work for the rest of you guys, but we're just giving you ideas on what to do. You may take some things, you may not like others. I give all video vendors a chance, but maybe you guys don't like IP Expert. Maybe you guys like INE better, and some other guys are flipped around. Maybe you guys think CBT Nuggets is awesome, and I do personally, but there are some others that don't like CBT Nuggets. So, everyone's different, and that's why we will talk about all the free trials out there that you can test all this stuff out. We have a vast array of inexpensive and free materials. You can get your CCNA for very, very cheap. pretty much free if you exclude the exam fees. So you don't need to spend money on a textbook if you don't need to. You don't need to buy a lab if you don't want to. It's preferable, but you don't need to. And you can get this for very cheap. But the problem is I've seen this a lot, is that people have so many options for study materials that they hoard them all. They have this directory and it's like 5 gigs of different PDFs and workbooks and cheat sheets, and that's nice, but they don't read any of them. You know, I think some of you have seen that guy at work with the CCNA book on their desk. They never open the damn thing. So that's a common definition of a hoarder. They just have all this stuff, but it's useless because you don't use it. It's better to buy one book, one workbook, 1 or 2 workbooks, and then just use those. At least you're using them. And the last intro thing to talk about is be in control of your own destiny. Don't wait for us to start a meetup. Don't wait for anyone else. Don't wait for the school to start their classes. If you're going to do a community college class like I'll talk about later, don't wait for the semester to start to actually start studying for your CCNA. If you don't see a group happening, if you don't see a CCNA, not enough CCNA classes, shoot an email out to all of us and say, hey, who's in Texas, like someone else did, who's in New York, who's in Southern California. Start your own. And if there's not enough ROUTERGODS people in the group to start a Texas meeting, you can start your own. Go to meetup.com, start your own meetup. We're cool with that. I mean, we have great relations with a lot of the other meetup groups, which we'll talk about. We have a lot of crossover with the New York group. We have some people from Rocky Mountain, from the Chicago group. They're all good groups, and you should definitely not think that there is competition. It's you can definitely belong to more than one meetup group. I belong to 12 meetup groups of different things, and I get flooded with emails. I just like keeping active. Okay, the types of people going for CCNA. So you might fit easily into one of these categories, but for a lot of people, I think there's some overlap in these categories. And where you fit might dictate how quickly you can complete your CCNA. So the common question is, how long is it going to take? Well, it kind of depends on if you're a newbie versus if you're a professional. But there's a little trick to that, or a little thing that you might not think about if you're a professional. There's the complete newbie. You have no exposure to networking, and one day you decide to get your CCNA, maybe because your friend talked about it, or you need it for work or to get a job. So that's the complete newbie. Not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it's a good thing. You could also be the newbie that's just interested in networking in the topic. We have a couple of those guys in our group. They're Linux guys or they're database guys, and they just want to learn about Cisco stuff, and that's fine too. We have people who are just interested in CCNA, either for job or professional stuff, and they don't really want to go past CCNA, and that's good. That's okay. You can definitely have a good living just with CCNA, and I would argue that you can have a good living without any certs if you have a lot of experience and you get a lucky break along the way. There are people that are going for CCNP or CCIE, and if you're going for CCNP and CCIE, take a little bit longer in studying for your CCNA. Don't rush through it. I know some people like rushing through it. Just get your CCNA, but I think that's a bad thing if you're going for NP and IE, because your foundation is very important. You've got the IT professional. You've been in the game for 5 to 10 years or whatever. You manage a whole network. You make over $100,000, but you've just never gotten your CCNA for whatever reason, and maybe now your boss is saying, hey, you need it. That does happen from time to time. Maybe your work asked for it and they're paying for it, so that's good. Say, hey, get your CCNA, we'll pay for it. That's pretty awesome. If you're in that category, take advantage of that. You have also the unfortunate thing of it might be mandatory, where if you don't get it, you lose your job. Usually not for CCNA, but I've heard of people where They've said if you don't get your CCIE, you're going to lose your job, and that could be a Cisco partner. It could also be they don't like you, but they're trying to find a reason to get rid of you type thing. In that case, I would just find a way of getting out of that job and just because you have other issues to deal with other than your CCNA or CCIE. And of course, you want to advance in your career, get a better job. That's always one of the big reasons for getting CCNA. And most other people, I think maybe half of the people in this group, they've had CCNA before, either version 1 or version 2, and they just want to recert because it expired. So just a little bit about an IT professional. I know people, I've taught people privately who have worked as IT pros, and this is a real dangerous thing because they underestimate the CCNA. And I'll talk about it later, but I guess it's good now, is you've been working in IT for 5 years and go, well, it's a CCNA, it's the lowest one, it should be easy. And they fail 3 times because they underestimated it. And because what they thought was right at the job, they never learned 100%. They never learned the theory of it. And I've seen this before with a guy, he worked in a NOC, he racked up servers, he did VLANs, he never understood how ARP worked. He had the wrong idea of ARP. It's just the situations that he dealt with, whatever he thought, just always worked, right? But he never understood it 100%. And he kept failing CCNA. This is a guy who's worked in a mega data center for years and years and years. Was good at his job, but never got the complete theory correct because he thought what he thought wasn't really correct. And that's the problem with some guys in IT. You may think you're correct because it's always worked on the job, but maybe that's not exactly how it is. The exam path, for those of you guys who kind of don't know about the exams and the numbering system, on the HackPad, I've got links to here. If you click on the links, they take you to the official Cisco page, the Cisco Learning Network page. And if you want the topics, you can click on the topics. Now, what's stupid about Cisco sometimes is to get the blueprint of the topics. Most of the time, you need a Cisco Learning Network login, which is free. You can make it for free. It's pretty easy. But it's like, come on, guys, just, this PDF isn't top secret. Just let people view it without logging in. So we have ICND 1, which is 100-101, ICND 2, which is 200-102. So the way this works is these are 2 separate tests. If you take and pass both tests, you get your CCNA. If you take and pass just the first test, that alone gets you what's called CCENT, kind of the technician level of CCNA. Now what's cool is if you're interested in the specializations like wireless and service provider and all that stuff, you can get your CCENT and go for specializations afterwards. They will count that. It used to be you had to get your full CCNA before going into the specializations, but they changed that I think about 2 years ago or something. Each one of these tests costs $125 now. I foresee that this will go up soon because they just increased the CCIE exam. So, who knows what they'll go up to. I don't expect them to go up too much, maybe $25 or so. Now there's a composite test. If you want to take care of CCNA in one shot, there's 200-120. The topics are there. That's $250. And in the old days, I recommended that people take the composite test. This was 2-3 years ago. I was still recommending people take the composite test. Just take the big test, get it out of the way. But now I recommend to people to not take the composite test. And the reason for this is CCNA is getting tougher. And if your first certification test is $250 and you fail it, that's a pretty big hit. It's not a big hit as CCIE right now for $1,600, but $250 if you're out of a job is a lot of money. So I know people, the same NOC guys don't make a lot of money, maybe $12 an hour, $13 an hour or something like that. $250 is a lot of money. So now I recommend for you to take the test in two halves, ICND 1 and ICND 2. Setting a deadline, you know, for your tests, you should always set a deadline of, okay, I'm going to study for 6 months or 3 months or whatever it is, and mark on your calendar, okay, that day I'm gunning to take that test. If you're crazy like I am and some other people, maybe you need that extra motivation of plunking down the money. You can go on Pearson VUE's website and plunk down the 125 bucks. You know, it gets charged off your credit card, and book that date 3 months or 6 months in the future, whatever. Don't worry, if you change your mind like a week before, you can move it around. Just go to a website, you can move it around. But you know, some people like that extra motivation. Okay, 150 bucks. So this would make it 300 then, or 295. You save an extra $5 if you go to composite. And also think, we talked about the specializations. You know, what are you going to be doing after CCNA? Do you like wireless? Do you like service provider? There's all these different options that you can go into, and you can have multiple specializations. You can be CCNA security, wireless, service provider, route switch, not a problem. Yeah, not a problem at all. I find though that after CCNA and CCNP, some people like to clear their brains a little bit from Cisco, and they like doing something else like VMware or Sniffer or something, just something different, and then come back to Cisco. That's fine too. Okay, any questions so far about the exam path and just the types of people and kind of our intro here? Paul's going to be up next talking for a couple minutes, but I'm going to pause for any questions that you guys might have.
Yeah, this is James. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I was curious. I had a friend named Oscar who turned me on to y'all. I've went through your introductory, well, the FAQ, and I did go through the video, and I saw that you had a bunch of other videos there with beginner EIR, well, a bunch of beginner videos there in your YouTube channel. Are those supplementary to the, like if I get the actual Cisco book from Wendell Oldham, or a couple others that you mentioned in the video, or would they actually kind of like be main subject topics for us to study while we are, you know, going through the book like he's just said?
Okay, James, that's an excellent question. We get this a lot. So you probably saw on the YouTube channel, there's a whole bunch of videos, you know, just spanning 3 years or 4 years or however long that channel's been in use. RouterGODS was always meant to be a supplement. So we always assume that you have other materials that you've bought, probably a textbook. Maybe you're going to class. We have a lot of people going to college class right now for CCNA. And you're sitting in class and you're listening to the instructor, or you're reading the book and you read, let's say EIGRP, you know, in your example. And you go, wow, I don't understand a damn thing that guy just said. You know, or maybe you understand a little bit and you want clarification on like a small piece of it. That's what our videos are for. We kind of hit, if you look at the topics, some of it's trivia, but other stuff is like, I kind of try to guess on the problems that people have normally. You know, so like, okay, in class, the instructor probably said this, and you may be thinking something, but here's how it actually works. So we kind of approach it along those lines, because as we'll talk about later, is there's so many full courses out there, like a complete CCNA course on YouTube for free, right? So for us to do another course for CCNA, a full one, we could do it, and Paul and I could do it, but man, like how how much room is there for 6 different free CCNA courses out there? You know, it's after a certain point, you just have to say, okay, enough is enough. Let's just concentrate on the topics that people are having trouble with. So, but yes, you know, if you're reading your book, you get to EIGRP, read through the section on EIGRP, do whatever exercises are in that book that you're reading, and if you still have trouble, go to our videos for EIGRP, and maybe it'll fill in some cracks. And if they didn't help, if you want an EIGRP video on a specific topic, email me or the list and say, hey, I was reading this book, I have this problem, can you make a video on it, or can you have a meeting about it? And you're seeing that right now on our mailing list, is people are saying, hey, I'm doing CCNP, can you do something on this? Or the VMware stuff, I'm trying to do VMware, you know, how do I do this? So, you know, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I was kind of curious because I was getting all these emails ever since I signed up, and I saw several options wherein different courses from different groups were advertised. One link was given that was like $25 for a whole set of videos on the for the ICD-1, and I wasn't quite sure, you know, who to trust. And I know some people don't recommend certain groups, or sometimes they just, not to appear partial, they'll recommend a whole bunch of them, knowing that a couple of them may be kind of off in this. So, and when you were just saying there, as far as, you know, get your book, it can be cheap, stick with the book. Well, I just wanted to see how you raise your own stuff. That's basically it. So, but yeah, you answered my question.
Yeah. Now, of course, we rate our stuff the best, but you know, it's just, well, I've said this before. It's like I think my stuff is decent, but compared to guys from CBT Nuggets like Jeremy Chara, you know, I'm sure a lot of you have seen his videos. I do not approach. Yeah, I don't approach the enthusiasm that guy has. You know, it's like he just drank 5 rock stars and he's bouncing off the wall. You know, and he explains stuff good. So he explains very well. So that's another thing. It's like, okay, I could take the same topic that he just did a video on, and I could do it, but you know, then it comes down to like personal taste, right? Pepsi or Coke type thing. It's like, so. You know, we try to take topics from a different angle, you know, so that people who have a book can learn a tidbit or two from our videos.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay, any other questions before we get to Paul? Paul's going to be talking about finding a method that works for you, looking at other sources, and requests for comments, and then we'll get to physical textbooks. These 3 topics are very, very good things to talk about. So Marty Nelson has a question. Do you have any comments on Udemy's Cisco course? I haven't personally looked at those, so I don't have a comment. However, I have a comment about the instructor. If you look there, the instructor is Chris Bryant. He used to be with Train Signal, and he used to do the CCNA courses for Train Signal. And those were very good in terms of content. You know, so, you know, the common thing where people say is CPT Nuggets is entertaining, but they might not have all of the stuff that the test asks. And then if you flip it around, Train Signal, Chris Bryant at Train Signal, the content was 100%, was really good, had a lot of content, but it just wasn't as entertaining. So, you know, maybe he's better. I don't know. I haven't watched those videos, but you know, for the price he's charging or they're charging, I wouldn't think it's a bad deal. I would think it's a pretty decent deal. Okay. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Paul for a couple minutes. Let's see here. There we go. Paul, take it away.
All right. My name is Paul Lamprin. I'm with co-organizer for ROUTERGODS, and I will explain to you probably the most critical aspect of learning, which is the next 3 points are really, really important. First point is find something that works for you. Let me explain this. Some people are very good with books. They love to read. Some people are like, books are boring, maybe I watch a video. Some say, you know what, books and videos don't do it for me. I physically need someone side by side to me to show me. Everybody is different. Find a medium that works for you. There's some people that say, I like books and I'm on the bus for an hour every day. Maybe I can pop out my book, read a chapter, think about it, and because it fills my schedule. I can't really stream a video on the internet on my cell phone. It would cost too much. I can't store it, so long and so forth. So find something that will fit your lifestyle. Find something that is going to fit the person that you are. Now that you've probably established what kind of study you would prefer, find an author you like. There are plenty of trainers out there. If we just say videos, there's got to be over 10 or 15. There's YouTube channels. There's, probably trainers in every language. There's different personalities. Some talk at a really high level. Some go no nonsense. So you really have to balance, how you like the information presented to you. If you are in IT and you've been around the block and CCNA is like a more technical thing and you're okay with technical talk, there's trainers that talk at a really high level and you're going to learn a lot from them. But some people say, kind of boring, kind of dry, really, really high level. I prefer someone like Jeremy Chara that just likes to break it down, really enthusiastic, doesn't get in as deep, but it's more fun and more practical. So you're going to have to sample a whole bunch of stuff. Good news is that if you look for Cisco training out there, most of the good, reputable trainers, first of all, one, you can Google. Two, you're going to have feedback from a lot of other people about them. If nobody knows who someone is, and you're the first person to get trained by them, maybe you should look at more reputable people first to get an idea. Especially if you're going to plunk money down, be very, very careful. Some trainers have, accents, bad production, talk in a voice tone that's annoying. Just go on forums, Google their name, try to dig what people think about them, and then, have a sample and then decide based on that. Once you select a primary method, have a secondary method. Maybe have a third method if you really don't understand the first two. Do not be afraid to ask questions. Do not be afraid to look at the same topic from another author. Sometimes the first person that wrote a book, you read the book and it completely escapes you. You're like, okay, I can either email them and get a response, or maybe I can just go and have a demo on YouTube and then see if I connect more with that. And if that doesn't work, maybe get a third or a fourth or a fifth. It doesn't matter. Do what you need to do to understand. Sometimes there are some topics that are hard to get the first time, even the second time, or the third time. But once you get it and you get what I like to call the light bulb moment, it'll be so worth it, because like you're gonna be, oh, subnetting. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand it. And then one day this guy said this one thing, and it made perfect sense. But you have to chase the light bulb moment. And please don't abandon when it starts to get hard. It will get hard. Sometimes you are going to question, why am I learning this? Just learn it and move on. That's what you have to do. There are plenty of topics in CCNA, such as, I don't know, frame relay, that you're going to say, my company doesn't use frame relay. I don't know anyone who uses frame relay. This is pointless. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about learning the technology, because the technology itself will show you principles that you're going to have to apply, to understand later, if you choose to pursue. Does anyone have any question about those 2 points? No. No question. I guess I will give it back to you, Humphrey.
Okay, thank you. You want to talk about the request for comments, or you want me to do it?
I mean, I can do it.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
The request for comments is the most baller thing to know. These are the standards of networking. When Cisco meets with Juniper, meets with Netgear, meets with, you know, whatever else, they decided certain things. And those things are plunked down in a standard. These documents dictate how it works. Nobody can not do it that way. They can implement it the way that they want, but it has to do at least this. Let me give you an example. They're going to say a car needs to use gas, and it needs to be able to go forward. So nobody can make a car that doesn't go forward and that doesn't use gas. That's the standard that they have given. To call yourself a car, you need those 2 things. Now, it doesn't matter what your engine is, and it doesn't matter what color, that doesn't matter. But the principles need to be applied. So sometimes if you actually look at what's in the standard and how it's supposed to work, if you understand how the protocol works, the only questions that you're going to have after this is, how does a company like Cisco, what type of command enables that feature that's in the RFC? And you can look that up pretty easily if you understand. But the RFCs is academic people writing for academic people. It's complicated stuff, but sometimes it's the only place that you can really understand how the protocol works, and it's undisputed. There's no question, there's no interpretation, it's black on white. It's the law, and you can't go further than that. Pretty hard to read. For CCNA, I don't expect you guys to read our RFCs, but if you have a very technical question about OSPF or any standard that's open, the answer is in there for sure. You're gonna know 100 times more than you need for your test, but knowing what's in there is very valuable.
Okay, so Roger has a good question. He's asking, Paul, what about proprietary protocols?
Proprietary protocols are proprietary. So the vendor will decide how much documentation to put out there. Cisco has Cisco has documents about their features on their website that you can look up, and they will explain things. Now, it's not like they're going to explain everything. It's not like they're going to give you the source code, but they're going to give you enough so that you understand how it works and everything that you need to know. But certain new features are not super well documented. There are some commands that are lacking information. It's hit and miss with time. But the RFCs are wide open.
Cool deal. And I just added a link to the RFC Index. If you scroll through, it goes on forever. What's the last? 7306 is the last RFC, Remote Direct Memory Access Protocol Extensions. Ooh.
And then if you look at them, it's not even granted yet.
Yeah, draft.
Yeah, they're in draft. It's like, here's what I propose we should do, and they're talking about it. They're going back and forth, and once enough people agree, then they say, all right, everybody seems to agree, we're going to do it this way.
Yep. And so that was a good point about the request for comments, because that completely skipped my mind as far as education. And funny story, back in the early days of CCIE, when CCIE first came out, you could bring your notes, you could bring anything into the lab exam. Just because they considered it so hard and so new that, hey, you want to bring in a truckload of RFC printouts, they let you do that. So lots of stories. I think one of the Bryans at INE gives a similar story, but a guy would come in with those, what do you call those things that lawyers bring in? It's like a hand cart type deal, and it was just full of printouts of different RFCs. So, sometimes that's the only thing you have available to you. And yeah, they're definitely important to read, especially for CCIE. And for CCNA, sometimes it can be interesting. They're not going to require you to remember the actual number on the CCNA level. So they're not going to say, what's RFC 1631? That would just be dumb. But you can expect that in CCIE. So they might pull that on you in the written test or even in the lab.
Yeah, and there's some good articles. I mean, there are some RFCs in CCNA that you should know. Private addressing, which is 1918, which is all the private addresses. There's the IPv6 in there, how it works. These are very good to look at, especially if you want to look at what they were thinking in 2001 when they wrote this, and how the standard has changed. They made another RFC later that invalidated the older one and said, okay, well, now we're thinking this. And sometimes standards were agreed upon but got overwritten 2 or 3 times, because you can clearly see that there has been a migration. Like, they didn't think that it would catch on, and then it did, and then they faced some problems, and they said, oh, now we got to do this because it's really popular, and we really want to make this work better. So if you go check the list of RFCs, I can recommend some to you guys in meetups that you should probably know what they are, because we refer to them at a lot. 1918 is very popular. Yeah. I'm warning you though. It's like, just like I said, if you read RFCs just for fun, it's the equivalent of a lawyer reading the Constitution just for pleasure. It will put you to sleep. Some of them are that dense. So be very warned.
Yep. So, very good stuff. Very good stuff. Okay, continuing on our resources, physical textbooks get a lot of questions about this. There are two main textbooks for CCNA as far as a printed textbook. You have the RFC book, CCNA Routing and Switching Study Guide. I have a link there. This is a legit link. We're not getting any money for it. It's just a direct link to Amazon. There's the Cisco Press book by Wendell Odom, another popular book. Now there's different versions that you can buy of the Cisco Press book. The official certification library, which has both books, so for each ICND 1 and ICND 2, and you can get the individual books if you want. You do get a slight discount if you buy the certification guide. He also sells a network simulator. The link is later in the hackpad somewhere. And this is kind of like a Boson type network simulator. You also have a book that's not as popular because I think it's Kindle only. I don't know if there's actually a printed book. I saw something that there was a printed book, but it was $200, so it must be someone's reselling it or something, or it's in short demand or something. But it's called CCNA in 60 Days by Paul Browning. It was actually a very good author. So those are the three books out there. In the past, Cisco Press has kind of sucked. In the early days, Cisco Press sucked for CCNA, and the RFC books were considered much better. Now Wendell Odom and Cisco Press they've improved their game, and Cisco Press I would consider on par, but it depends on your personal preference how it is. If you go to the bookstore and you read samples of both, I think RFC writes in a little bit more down-to-earth style, like a normal person style. Cisco Press sometimes tends to get a little bit academic. So it just kind of depends on your feeling. Now, one good thing about Cisco Press is you would imagine that Cisco Press, or Cisco, is making the test. So maybe Cisco Press is the way to go. There is definitely some truth to that. But I think at the CCNA level, if you had to pick between the two, I would go RFC. But if you have a little bit more money, get both books. There's nothing wrong with getting both books. And actually, I think most people do get both books. If you don't want the printed textbook, you can get the Kindle version, and we'll talk about that, but that's also a viable option. Another book that people get, this is usually purchased after CCNA, but I think it's very viable if you're studying for CCNA to get it. It's called Network Warrior. It's an OReilly book, and it is kind of like a real life, here's what you want to do after CCNA, or here's the stuff that CCNA didn't teach you about. So it's an awesome book for real life stuff. And also, speaking about real life stuff, Jeremy Chara at CBT Nuggets has a series, I forget the exact name of it, but I think it's like what to do after CCNA or CCNA real life labs or something like that. But it's basically, it goes beyond certification. It's basically like you've gotten your CCNA and now you're thrown into a work network. What do you do? Type stuff. So that's a very, very good series. Now, books are expensive. I realize that. Not a lot of people have unlimited funds to do this. There's a way to get that cost down. First way is the easiest way. If you know someone who just passed, get their books. Just ask. You might be giving them for free. The books might be just lying at work. A lot of tech workplaces have a library that you can take books from. That's a viable option. If the book happens to be one or two versions back, so maybe it's not on the 100-101 test, but it's on the 600 something version, that's fine. I mean, hey, it's a free book, and just on the new topics, find a PDF somewhere to supplement that. That's fine. Usually the Kindle version, actually almost always the Kindle version is much cheaper than the printed version. And the cool thing is, if you buy the Kindle version, you also get the version for the iPad, because the iPad has a Kindle app. So the diagrams and stuff look much better on the iPad, but as far as regular text, on a Kindle looks perfect, looks fine. Now it's up to you whether you're a physical textbook guy or a Kindle guy. I have learned how to read on a Kindle, and I like it. It tracks everything. It's very readable in the sun. I don't have to lug around a humongous textbook, that type of stuff. But some people like having a physical book. Another cool thing about physical book is, some people like having that book on their desk, and it, show their coworkers that, hey, I'm studying for CCNA. You could show your boss, like, dude, that CCNA book is mine. I'm studying for it, type deal. So that may score some points that you might not normally score. Safari Books has a subscription if you like reading your books online or through an iPad. They have a subscription for a couple bucks a month, 24, 39 bucks a month. You have access to their library. Now, depending on how much you pay for the subscription will depend on how many books you want to check out at a time. So some people are completely fine with the $24 one, but others want kind of like the all-you-can-eat $39 version. That's fine.
Yeah, and there's a cheaper one for $9 a month that allows you 5 book credits, which if you only want to open a couple of books at a time, it's more than enough.
Yeah. If you're just starting off, 5 books, man, heck, that's great. And also it can serve as like you could preview books, so you say, okay, I don't want to plunk down the $40 for this textbook without reading it, so drag it into your Safari bookshelf, do a little preview and maybe go, okay, well, it's worth it for me to buy it. Now we do have a discount. Actually, all Cisco user groups have a discount code given by Cisco. If you type in that code, you get 35% off on a single book. If you want to buy 3 or more books, there's a code for 45% off, and ebooks are 45% off. That's if you buy through the Cisco Press website. Maybe I should preface that. Cisco Press website. You should, before you buy through the Cisco Press website, look for the same book on the Amazon website. It is very possible that the Amazon Press regular price is cheaper than the Cisco Press discount price. So, it's just make sure you don't want to say, okay, well, the ROUTERGODS coupon code gives me 35% off. Yes, I'm going to the Cisco Press website and it's only $30, right? It brings it down to $30. But when you go to Amazon, it is $25 normal price. So, don't get hit like that. And if you foresee that you're going to be buying a lot of books, like you're saying, okay, I'm going to do CCNA, I'm going to get all these specializations, and then I'm going to go for CCNP, which is 3 or 4 tests, you're going to be buying a lot of books. Take a look at Amazon Prime. It's an upfront cost. I think it's up to $119. It was $99, but they raised the price a little bit. And what Amazon Prime gives you is free 2-day shipping for anything, pretty much anything you buy through Amazon. And on top of that, they throw in all those movies and all the streaming music and a couple other perks in there. If you have a Kindle, you can check out 1 book a month. So that's a good perk. So Amazon Prime is a decent deal if you expect to pay a lot, if you expect to buy a lot of stuff. Okay, so Kenneth says it was $79, now it's $99. Okay, so I had my numbers mixed up a little bit. Any questions about physical textbooks? I do have, I've read Lamley's book. That was the book that I got my first CCNA with, so great book. It's obviously been updated. I have read the Cisco Press Wendell Odom books. They're good as well. I have not read the 60 Days book by Paul Browning, but if you look at the reviews, I mean, it's like freaking 5-star reviews on Amazon with hundreds of reviews. Just to take a quick survey in the chat there. Oh yeah, Abram has a good point. eBay, Craigslist, are also viable options. Just take a quick survey in the chat room. How many of you are reading books right now on either a Kindle or an iPad.
Or any sort of tablet, Android, whatever.
So got iPads, Kindle, iPad, tablet. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. iPad definitely seems the go-to thing if you travel. Like if you're stuck in an airport, you kind of want that iPad. Anyone have a Surface Pro 3? Or I guess any Surface Pro tablet. Doesn't have to be the 3. All right. Okay. Just wondering. No Microsoft. All right. Okay, getting away from textbooks, what boot camps and short classes are available out there? Well, uh, if you don't know what a boot camp is generally a 1 to 2 week class. Generally from Monday through Friday, starts at 9, might end at 10 or 11 p.m. They go very, very long. And these are the typical things you see at like New Horizons, Escolta, Fastlane, that type of stuff. They definitely are expensive. They can be 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 bucks. If you're taking like the CCNA, which is the accelerated CCNA class in 5 days, I got to sit in on a couple of those at Escolta. Escolta is a big Cisco learning partner, and I think that was like 5 or 6,000 bucks. These are expensive classes, but most of the students in those classes, their company was paying for it. So if your company's paying for the training, why not? Do it. It's not coming out of your pocket. And also, if you really want a boot camp and you're gonna pay for it out of your own pocket, never pay retail. Never pay retail. You can always talk with the salesperson and extract some type of discount. If you pay the full 3,000 for a boot camp, list price was 3,000, you pay the 3,000, you're an idiot. Go to that salesperson and go, okay, well, it's 3,000, it's kind of expensive. They will always lower the price. Now, New Horizons is offering, I was just looking, they're running VMware classes. They've always been running VMware classes, and they're offering a free iPad mini or 20% off VMware class that's 2,500 and up. So hey, why not? If your company's going to pay for it, get the class, get a free iPad mini, and there you go. And they offer discounts for veterans as well.
Yeah, I would like to say something though. Don't show up at a boot camp knowing absolutely nothing. That's a bad idea because the pace is incredibly fast. Chances are you only have 5 days and it's going to be, it's going to be very, very intense. Boot camps are more meant for people who have studied alone, but they want to practice and they want to ask questions, and they know, they think that they know the technologies. They just want to be able to practice on real equipment that our provider will bring with the knowledge, so they can ask questions and do it side by side with them. Do not show up at a boot camp knowing nothing. That applies at any level. If you do that on a CCIE, you're wasting your money. If you do it for a CCNP, you're wasting your money. At a CCNA, well, it's attainable, but it's going to be pretty hard. So do your research first, and if you need like a final push and someone's paying for it, or you want to pay for it, go ahead.
Yep, good point. Roger has a good comment. Watched someone do it at my CCIE boot camp last week. Yeah, Narvik. Oh man, yeah, I've seen it, and every time I've gone to Narvik's boot camp, is someone in there is just not shouldn't belong in there. Another thing about boot camps is always ask the salesperson about retakes. Are retakes free? Do I have to pay money? Because it's going to be 5 days of hell. What if I take it a second time? Can I do it for free? Get that in writing. They might say something, but it's just like a military army recruiter. If you don't get it in writing, just assume it's not true. They can be good for real life networking. If most people in there are professionals, like Verizon likes to pay for a lot of Ascolta classes, it can be great for making contacts. They may have openings. Hey, I want to go to Verizon. You're in the same boot camp. They know you. They can put in a good word for you. So in that sense, boot camps could be good. Now, boot camps are divided into two main categories. There's the Cisco Certified Boot Camp run by a Cisco Learning Partner. This is New Horizons, Ascolta, those guys. These are Cisco anointed. So Cisco has said that these guys are good. They generally have a CCSI. Well, they will have a CCSI teaching it. So those of you guys who are in the New York boot camp, you guys know that William is a CCSI. So you could ask him about, what the hell it is to go through that. And generally these instructors are usually pretty good. There's the gray market, and gray market sounds bad, but it's not necessarily bad. It just means that people who are training that are not Cisco, it could be a mom and pop's, training center, or just a training center that just doesn't want to be under Cisco. They're good, like INE. INE is a gray market, and they've basically said, if we want to work under Cisco, it's going to be hell, because there's a lot of hoops you have to jump through to be a Cisco training partner, and I went through a lot of those hoops at Ascolta. It can be just, you want to punch Cisco in the face sometimes. So, it might not be that, it's not necessarily that they're bad, they just don't want to go through all that crap. Now, the cool thing about a Cisco training partner, a Cisco anointed boot camp, they will take Cisco learning credits. So if your company has purchased gear, like any Fortune 500 company, any medium, any company probably 100 employees or more, and you've bought a bunch of Cisco gear for 50,000, 100,000, whatever, right? I don't think you can get away from a big Cisco order for less than 50,000 these days, but you get the point. They're going to throw in Cisco learning credits. If they don't, before you sign the contract, squeeze out of that sales engineer or that salesperson, you better throw in that Cisco learning credits or I'm going Juniper or whatever, right? So get those Cisco learning credits. They're as good as cash, and you can use these to pay for a boot camp or pay for workbooks or go to Narvik's boot camp, whatever, right? Now, these boot camps, the Cisco ones, might also include an exam voucher. Ask about that. Do I have free retakes? Can I pay with Cisco learning credits? Can I get an exam voucher to take this test for free? Always ask those questions for a boot camp.
I have to say something about the Cisco boot camps that are in the Cisco format. CCSIs are told what to say, and they're told how to say it. Cisco literally gives them the PowerPoints and the way that they're going to teach the class. They can go a little bit off topic, but not that much. So in some of those courses, expect to see marketing hype, expect to see things that are told a certain way, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but if you go to gray market, they can say whatever they want. They can say things like, oh, Cisco is going to tell you that EIGRP is so much better than anything else. I think that's not right, and I think that's not good, and let me show you why. A Cisco bootcamp would never do that. They're told to preach the same thing, and that's it. So you have to be careful with the gray market, and you have to be careful with Cisco. A mix of both, and really to look at your options is really, really good.
Yep, good point. At Ascolta, when they taught, the instructor has a syllabus. He has to follow the syllabus and the schedule pretty much. All the students get these humongous lab kits, multiple workbooks, and it's very, very structured. It's like, we're going to do this, this, and this, and this. Like, follow, color within the lines. You can't go outside. So, some people like that, some people don't. Tony has a good question. At what point is one ready to attend a boot camp? I would say that if you've read the book, a textbook, you've gone through the book, maybe you've done a couple exercises, that's probably a good point if you want to take a boot camp, is after you've actually completed a book. If you go to a boot camp without cracking open the textbook, that's bad. Maybe halfway, maybe that's okay, but if you haven't even read the majority of the Wendell Odom book or the Lamley book, you don't want to do that boot camp. Now, if your work is paying for it, why not? A lot of times these boot camps are done at a certain time, like, company is sending 5 people to the boot camp. Okay, you're still in the early parts of the book. Hey, doesn't matter. Just go. Your company's paying for it, right? Okay, any other questions about boot camps and short classes? So yeah, Tony has a comment, my work would pay for it, just want to be able to keep up. There is a certain point where you're not going to keep up if you're still early in the game. It'll just be you're getting hit with the fire hose and you're just like, oh my God. And that's going to happen. That's going to happen in a boot camp just because it's coming so fast. People are at different levels in a boot camp, and if you go to a CCIE boot camp, there's a lot of people in there that are super crazy good. It could be their second CCIE, their third CCIE, and now they're going route and switch, right? And there's others who you wouldn't even trust with CCNA level tasks. So, for someone in that class, it's going to be a bad day, and they can't cater to everyone. Okay, good question. Let's see. When has a question, do you suggest people go to a boot camp if they already have CCNA and the company's paying for it? If you already have CCNA and the company's paying for it, actually, whether or not you have CCNA, if the company's paying for it, take the boot camp. If you have time. I mean, if the company's paying for it, they're going to put up the hotel, they're going to pay for the boot camp. Take it. It's free training. You might learn something, and at very least, you're going to network with everyone. You're going to talk to the instructor. It's a good thing. Any other questions about the boot camp? Also, if you're going to take a Cisco certified boot camp, you will have access to a lab. And now the problem is how much lab time you get will vary because you're going to be going home very late at night. So if you're going home at 10 p.m. and you have to get back at 9 a.m., the amount of labbing that you get to do at night might not be a lot. Okay, Tony has another good question. Do you recommend online boot camp versus in-person boot camp? Me personally, I'm in person. I love in person, both as a teacher and as a student. I would much prefer to do this type of meetup in person. Now the problem is getting people there in person is tough. We had a big problem with this when this group was first starting out. Southern California, just mass transit sucks. Now, as opposed to New York, you guys have it easy. You guys have a decent subway system. If you have a meetup in person, you can get 30, 40 people, no problem. But Southern California, it works a lot differently. In-person boot camp, you get to see the instructor, you get to feel like a real book, you get to sit by a guy that could be working at the NOC or on a big service provider. I think it's a lot better. Now, as far as time, you have to do travel, you have to do a hotel usually, that type of stuff, so factor that into consideration. Online boot camp is just too easy to miss. You sign up for online boot camp, you wake up too late, F it, I'm not going.
Yeah, but it also depends about your personality. It's same about college classes, right? The convenience of an online class is absolutely great, but you need the discipline to do it. Going to a class about a pointless subject that you're going to be bored to death, you might not want to do that either. So depending where you are at in your studies, and it says, oh, I already have my CCNA, the company is just sending me because, I don't know, they're sending other people and someone couldn't make it, and I'm just going to go for my recertification because, I'm almost at 3 years and I'm just going to go, that would probably be fine. If you want to get touchy-feely with equipment, if you want to have someone besides you, online is really not the way to go. As I said, it's very, very different experience. It's sometimes you just can't afford to fly out or drive to the place, either in time or in money. Sometimes online is the only thing that you can do, and you're like, hey, the online one is $1,000 cheaper. That's the only thing I can afford. Maybe that's for you, but you really have to know yourself, and if you can get a sample of what's out there and how it's like, I would recommend doing that, because that's still a lot of money.
Yep, true. And another thing from the teacher perspective, I said that I prefer to teach in person. And another reason I like to teach in person is, you explain a topic, I can look around the room, and there's usually like a dude just sitting in the second row, and you can tell from his face that he just got hit with a sledgehammer. Then I can say, oh, okay, well, it looks like you may have a question. Do you want something re-explained, or can I approach this a different way? I can ask, do you get it? Whereas online, you can see this right now online. Unless someone types in that, hey, I have a question about this, I don't know how you feel. There's like 40 people right now in this chat, and I don't know how a majority of them feel. It's just the way that online works. So that's another thing. If you go to in person as a student, you can raise your hand. There's usually no barrier to that. Whereas online, you have to email them. You might have to ask the question in chat. Maybe he doesn't see it. There's lots of things that can happen with that. Groupon deals, we see those all the time. But yeah, there are definitely deals out there that come out, but it all comes down to the company that the Groupon is advertising. Just because it's from Groupon doesn't necessarily make it bad or good. It's just, okay, if it's a Groupon for I&E for 50% off, hey, that's great. But I don't think I&E will be doing Groupon stuff. At least I don't foresee them doing that. Okay, workbooks and online study guides. Now, when I say workbook, I'm talking about like a 30, 40 page PDF, something that could probably stand alone as a textbook, but it's you could use it as your main textbook if you want, but I'm also assuming that they think you're using it as a supplement to a main textbook. We have 5 things listed there. We have the free CCNA workbook. We have the ROUTERGODS CCNA study guide. The free CCNA lab workbook there. CCNA complete guide. There's at least 5 there that are very, very good workbooks. I've gone through all of them, and they're great. ROUTERGODS has other cheat sheets and stuff that we could talk about, but I'm just going to click on this third guy, free CCNA lab workbook. Right? They have labs. They lab 1, lab 2. They have so much stuff. If I want to do like an OSPF lab right here, they got lots of stuff for packet tracer and GNS3. So it's free. It's awesome. Little bit more structured is this sites.google.com. If you go to master lab, it's one big lab and do it in a row. So some people like that. And then the free CCNA workbook, right there. Free CCNA, you could do it right there. Under workbooks, CCNA routing and switching, you can donate to them if you want. Looks like it's updated for 200, 120. Let's click on it. Look at all these labs. Geez, you know, there's so much. It took a lot of work to do this, and they're offering it for free. Right? So remember what I said before. If you don't have money to buy a textbook, do these free workbooks. They don't cost you anything. And if you pass CCNA, you probably want to donate a couple bucks, but you know, you're under no obligation to do that. Let's see, Chris has a question. Back to books. Any comments, Humphrey, on using materials from the previous exam curriculum for the benefit of the group? Yeah, I think I said that even if you find a book or find a PDF that talks about the previous version or previous topics, it's all good. I mean, okay, right now frame relay is not in the current CCIE. Does it make it worthless? No. You might run into frame relay, but I don't know if I want to expend the time to do a meetup YouTube video about frame relay from now on, because you know, it's just chances are I probably won't run into it. But if you find a book that's one version back, by all means, and you can get it for free, by all means get it. Okay, we're going on to cheat sheets here. Cheat sheets aren't full courses, they aren't full workbooks, but they're talking about like a single protocol like EIGRP or RIP. You know, could be like multicasting, and these are good things to have just kind of printed out or saved in your Dropbox or something. Packet Life is the standard for cheat sheet. I think most of you have gone to Packet Life. This guy, former military, network admin, good guy. He runs a big group out on the East Coast, and good stuff, all free. He used to run the Packet Life free lab where people can log into, but I think what happened is it just got abused the hell out of, and you know, people were coming in and reserving like a whole week or something, trying to double book, and he stopped that. So Packet Life's good. RouterGODS, good stuff, good cheat sheets. They tend to be between a cheat sheet and a full workbook. You know, they'll be like 12 pages long of OSPF stuff. They have the command reference and stuff like that. And then this one right here, it's a kind of a one that just was introduced to me, the command reference MindJet. Let's click on there. And this is kind of a mind map. This is really cool. This is all the commands that will probably show up in CCNA. And so you go, okay, I'm going to go into global config mode. What I need to type in a CDP command right here, right? What happens after CDP? Oh, there's CDP enable, hold time, and timer. Oh, cool, right? What about if I go into the interface mode, IP address, IP authentication, that type of stuff. So this is basically like an expandable command summary for you. And you can zoom in and out. It's pretty good stuff. Okay, Steve says he saw a message on the learning network from Packet Life that he got robbed from some company. Yeah, some guy was taking his free cheat sheets and reselling them, basically packaging them as a workbook and selling them, which I think is pretty damn low. Yeah, and actually I'll tell you a secret is, not a secret, but it's inside story. There was a guy who was taking my videos and selling them on a DVD somewhere in India. So that's pretty dumb. And they were zipping him up, putting him on a DVD. They were putting him up on a website. It's like, dude, it's free. Just look on YouTube. You don't need to pay the guy. Okay, any questions about these free workbooks or the cheat sheets? Okay, and by all means, if you find a free workbook or a cheat sheet out there or a textbook that you like, and it's not on this list, on this hackpad, email me. I'll add it there, because this hackpad right here is going to live forever. This is going to serve as our main reference sheet. So when someone joins and they're going for CCNA, we're going to give them this and say, hey, watch the video, go to this hackpad. This is going to answer 90% of your questions. and go from there. This is kind of going to be our new FAQ for CCNA guys. So Steve has a question. Can you get into more details on a mind map? So what a mind map is just a different way of taking notes. Most people, when they go into school, they take notes in very linear fashion, top down. And what a mind map is, it's the same notes except you're doing it as a hub and spoke. You put the main subject in the center, and then you branch out. It's just a different way of doing it. I like it. It's pretty nice. You could do. There's mind map making software out there that you can download. Where's the big one here? Did they call it MindJet? Yeah, there's different ones out there, but there's free ones out there. There's ones that are based in the cloud. So you could just search for mind map and do it that way. Yeah, mind maps seem to be kind of the hot, the new black of studying right now. Ooh, do they have a mind map type thing? I'll show you the CCIE mind map. There's a free one out there.
Do we really want to do this?
Why not?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so this a CCIE mind map. Let's just go down here. Right. So yeah, goes on for, dear God, 63 pages.
Yeah, and we got to learn all of this.
Yeah.
So don't be scared. It can be done. Most people just, when they don't even have their CCNA and they look at this, they're like, whoa, Yoda. I'm like, yeah, trust me, even us, we're like, it's heavy. It's really heavy.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, going into videos, I think this is probably what's interesting to most people right now is you've bought a book. Where can I find some videos? Of course, our YouTube channel. And the problem that some people have with our YouTube channel is we don't have a structured way. Right now we have a chronological list on HackPad, but I'm trying to organize everything into topics and stuff, so it'll be a lot better. You have Keith Barker's YouTube channel. Good guy, part of our meetup group, part of CBT Nuggets. He's very prolific on CBT Nuggets. He teaches everything. It's not just Cisco stuff. He teaches everything. So there's his channel. There's Dan's courses. Now Dan is actually a Cisco teacher at a university, but he also puts a full, and we're talking full course online. It's not just videos, it's workbooks, you sign up, you can do exercises. He is probably, I would say, as far as a free Cisco course, he is probably the guy if you want a free Cisco course. Very good stuff, and I'm amazed that he does it for free. There are the videos from Cisco Live. You can search for CCNA specific courses on Cisco Live. It's offered for free if you have a Cisco Live video login. Very easy to make. So those are all free. If you prefer some more, how should I say, videos with a little bit more higher production value, doesn't necessarily mean they're better. They could be. There's several vendors out there that offer paid video content. Most of you know CBT Nuggets. They offer a 7-day free trial, $99 a month. You could pay annual and semi for a discount. If you can con your company into getting a corporate discount, corporate subscription, that's good too. And then everyone within the company can have a login. So that's good. I'm going to demo that in a little bit. And just as full disclosure, we have a corporate account through Panda, and every one of our associates can use CBT Nuggets. And the cool thing about a corporate subscription is that all the usernames are tracked so that you can tell who's studying what. And then at the end of the month or end of the day or whatever, you can get a printout, or you can go to a web page and it says, oh, Humphrey viewed this many hours and this guy viewed this many hours. So you can say, hey, this guy's actually trying to learn here, so that's good. So it's we can tell that this guy really wants to know VMware. We've got IP Expert out there. They just recently came out with the IP video, which is for CCNA guys, CCNP guys. Video training, 29 bucks a month. They have IP everything, which is 79 bucks a month. There's a discount if you go annual, or and then you can get workbooks and stuff like that. I'll demo that. Full disclosure, I paid full price on that. I mean, it's not that much. INE, big guy or big company in the video training arena. They have an all access pass, 5-day trial. There's the prices there. Paul will demo it. We talked about Udemy. I don't know if I'm even pronouncing that right, but Udemy. Chris Bryant is one of the instructors there. They offer a course. Now theirs is a little different. You pay for entire courses and you can do the entire course. So it's less of a subscription monthly thing versus buy the whole course through Udemy. And then we have Pluralsight. Some of you people may know it as the old Train Signal. Now, if you look through the link there, you'll see that they do have CCNA. It's not a full course. They have full courses up until a year or two ago. If you look at the version number, it's not the 100, 101, 200, 120, that type of stuff. But they do have individual topic courses that are fairly new. So some of you may like Pluralsight as like the third or fourth option there. Okay, any questions before I get into the demos? So I'm going to demo two of them, and then Paul's going to demo INE.
We missed something about CBT Nuggets. A lot of schools will give you a subscription. When I went to college and I was in IT, they would give me a subscription to CBT Nuggets because we had a lot of classes about Cisco, Microsoft, VMware, whatever. And they said just, part of your tuition covers this. So trust me, when I got access to that, I studied the courses that I was into and a lot more. Like, take advantage of it.
Yep, if your company gives you stuff for free, you take advantage, or a company or college, take advantage of it.
And by the way, there's a new subscription for 6 months. It's hidden. You will get that email when you subscribe. They're gonna say if you don't want to pay for a year and you don't want to go monthly, there's an in between now. You have to ask for it. If you need the information, I can give that to you guys.
Yeah, and that's another thing. There are certain tricks to getting cheaper prices. A lot of times, so let's say you want to subscribe to CBT Nuggets for 2 months tops, because that's kind of how long you want to take for CCNA. At the end of 2 months, you throw in your cancellation order. It's pretty easy to cancel. You're probably going to get an email from someone, or an automated email saying, hey, before you cancel, we would like to offer you something for half price or whatever. So some of you may have seen that from other websites. I'm not going to say what kind of websites, but this is a common tactic for subscription stuff. So I've logged in using my company email address, and that's because we have a company subscription. You can see right here it says where I left off. So I was last looking at the Scott Morris Juniper Networks course. Very disappointed in that. But it tells you where you left off, so you can continue right from that spot. You can form playlists, you can have bookmarks, you have notes and stuff like that. What's cool is on this front page, it tells you all of their newest videos in chronological order from newest to oldest. So you can see, I'll expand this a little bit. You can see that Keith Barker just popped up a video series on 6/13. So this was basically last week, CCNP security, right? James Conrad popped up a set of videos, 30 videos on ethical hacker, right? So you can see that it's not just Cisco stuff. This is everything. VMware, Linux, Linux Essentials. Sean Powers just popped up a bunch of videos. So they're just cranking out content. It's easy to search. If you're just looking for CCNA stuff, you type in CCNA there, right? And then you could order things. If you like Jeremy Chara, just click on trainers. It's going to order everything. Jeremy Chara's here. Keith Barker's down here. Does $99 a month cover all their content? Yes, you get everything. You get all of this. So, you're tired of Cisco and you want to do VMware. You type in VMware, and there you go. Right? How are their labs? Well, the labs, so as far as like a rack rental or anything like that, you don't have that in CBT Nuggets, but you do have it built into their video training. So Keith Barker will say, let's set up this lab, and he's kind of expecting you to have something in the background on your own. So you don't get a rental rack or anything through CBT Nuggets. It's all video training. Now some of this stuff, if I show you, so I'm going to search for CCNA. We're going to look and order it by the recently released. So I see for Jeremy Chara has put out something for CCNA 640.878. Let's click on there. And now I'm in this course, and you can see that it gives me the different sections. It tells me how long each one is. Right? Description, comments. This is a service provider, so that's good. And let's see what happens if I click on this second one here. Now what's cool about CBT Nuggets, and I'm going to stop it just before it starts. There we go. Because I'm going to be blasted by Jeremy Chara. You can see down here that we have a speed indicator. Normally it's going to play at normal speed, 1.0. But if you want super gerbil style, you could do 2.0, 1.3, 1.6. And this is, I kind of like it because sometimes if you play regular, some of us have ADD and you need it playing at super gerbil speed to be engaged. Now if you were paying attention when I moused over here, over the HD, you could see that I'm offered different bit rates. So this is depending on whether you're streaming through a tablet or a phone or a MiFi connection, that type of stuff. Right, and down here shows you the different videos. Now what's cool is as you watch these, it keeps track of what you watch. So it'll say like watched. Okay. Any questions about CBT Nuggets? I like them quite a bit, and it's not just because we have a corporate version. If we didn't have a corporate version, I would just spring for the regular subscription price. I would have no problems paying for that.
I have a comment to make about CBT Nuggets.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, note, you can watch CBT Nuggets on your phone, on your iPad. They have an app. Really nice app. If you're stuck in a bus or in a car, not driving, and you're like, hey, I want to keep up, I want to look up something real quick, they have a very, very nice app that can speed up things. It's really, really great. It works for iPhone and Android, so and then you're fine, so that's quite awesome.
Yeah, CBT Nuggets probably has one of the slickest interfaces, and it's compatible everywhere, so they've definitely put a lot of money into the back-end, front-end menu system, so it's very nice. Alex has a question, what is CCNA 878 compared to 802? It's this one service provider, so service provider versus the regular route switch. Okay, any other questions about CBT Nuggets? It's good stuff. If definitely take a look at their free offer, free trial. And if you work at a big company, sell it to your boss and say, hey, we could get everyone can watch if we get a corporate subscription. All right, going over to IP Expert. IP Expert is mainly a CCIE training company, but they do have stuff for CCNA and CCNP. But this would be something if you're looking at CCIE down the line, this may be something interesting for you. And I'm going to log in to their site so I can demo it. IPX, yeah, didn't want that. Okay, so to get there, Members Arena, I've already logged in for today. So you have audio on demand, which doesn't work for me anymore because I did something bad. And but where you're going to be going is videos on demand. And then you can see how they're sectioned out. Now I have the IP everything, which gives me access to everything, just wireless and collaborate, everything I want. But if you want to just do the CCNP, CCNA stuff, you would get kind of the same menu. I would assume that some things are blocked out for you. But you can see here that, hey, 200-120 video on demand for CCNA. It's organized into the different sections. And let's just see how one of them looks like. Wireless LANs, I thought they took that out. Can someone verify for me if wireless LANs is still in the current ICND1?
It's still in there.
Oh, okay.
It's still in there.
All right. Okay.
Devices are
okay, so we see kind of like a PowerPoint presentation.
20 devices here, clients, and one of those clients is basically 802.11b. So that's basically the 802.11g cap.
Okay, so some of you guys may like this, but it kind of looks like he's reading off the slides. But maybe they change it up. But I've gone through a couple of these courses. They're decent. They're not too bad, and for the price point that they're aiming at, $29, it could be a very good option for you. Now, once again, IP Expert is mainly a CCIE training company, so most of their courses are going to be geared towards that end of the spectrum. And also, this is definitely going to be Cisco centric. So unlike CBT Nuggets, this is going to be all towards one vendor. Okay, any questions about IP Expert? Steve has a kind of off-topic question. What are good Cisco drawing tools? Visio. There's some other free ones, but Visio is going to be the one to go. Okay, cool. So we're going to go and talk about Internetwork Expert, and Paul's going to demo it. And I'm going to hand it off to Paul for about 5 minutes or so.
Very good company. Focused on CCIE more than anything. Why? Because for CCNA, there's saturation. So a lot of people do the CCNA stuff. There's plenty of CCNP. CCIE, you're going to find yourself, it's going to be one of three. Either this, Cisco program, INE, or IP Expert. That's what it comes down to. So their website is at INE.com. I have two things that I'm going to show you today. The first thing is, when you go to the first page, if you look at their calendar, you are going to find that CCNA routing and switching started today. The new course. In the self-paced, coming soon. if you go there, Keith Bogart, which is a 10-year CCIE, he has emeritus. He's pretty good. His number is sub 5,000, so he's been there for a while. His number is like 4635 or something like that. And 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pretty good stuff. You can look at their stuff. If you look, they have a whole bunch of stuff. Cisco, probably every course you can imagine in Cisco, although when you make an account, which I will show you 2 levels of accounts. Someone who just registered and has access to nothing, and someone that has access to everything. So yeah, you can buy their courses and download them, or you can stream them. Their All Access Pass is their all-you-can-eat package for $99, a year for $1,500, and they give you a CCIE workbook bundle. This would not apply to you guys. It would apply to guys that are for CCIE. Those are worth, I mean, the workbooks are worth like $500. So, you know, take that into consideration. 2 years for $2,000. If you're going for your IE and you're starting, you will probably get that because it gets pretty thick and you constantly need to go back on certain things because you forget stuff. There's just too much stuff to learn. They have rack rentals, which means you can rent equipment with tokens. So you can buy tokens as if this was an arcade. Instead of playing with an arcade game, you get to play with gear, and they can give you access to gear, routing and switching for CCIE, version 4, troubleshooting for version 4, the older stuff, collaboration, which is the voice stuff, service provider, data center ACE, and security. They have all those labs. If you notice, there's nothing specifically targeted for CCNA, although if you would rent the routing and switching version 5, it's $3 per hour. If you buy the 100 tokens, it's fairly cheap. You can do that, and then all your CCNA stuff would work. And I can demo that to you guys. But yeah, I mean, you can look at the availability of everything, what they are, what's in the rack. This says for, you know, for routing and switching rack rentals, we have 6 routers, 2 3560 switches, 3550 switches, 1 pre-configured access server, a frame relay switch, and 3 backbone routers. You can actually open the guide, and in the guide it's going to show you how to book the stuff. You know, if you get a telnet connection warning, what does that mean? All the stuff. The cool part is that if you need help with INE, you can call them, and yes, they will pick up the phone. It's not just by email, so that's fairly nice. Now, I need to. Okay, guess I'm gonna have to go back. Okay, so when you create an account, I'm gonna log out. I'm gonna log in with our account, which is ROUTERGODS@INE.com, and the password is ROUTERGODS. If you guys want to log in, feel free. This is what you would get You just registered, you have access to nothing. If you bought things, they would be into my videos right here. So if you bought the new CCNA course, which is running live daily these days, you could see it here. If you bought other things, it would be here. If I go to workbooks, I don't have any workbooks bought right now. All Access Pass, I would have access to all of that, but right now I don't, because as soon as I try to open one, if I click on Manage Subscription, it will show me that, hey, you don't have access to this, but this is their way of saying this is all the stuff that you could have access to, and it's a lot of stuff. Mostly Cisco, but in the last couple of months they added Wireshark, they added some Network Plus. They're starting to branch out, and this is a live class that's going to happen. I already talked about the workbooks. Rack rentals, this is where you would schedule your rack rentals. If you have some tokens, as you can see, I have 0 tokens on this account right now. If we did, I could go in and say I want to rent something that says select a start date, select an end date, and then it says here's how much it's going to cost. Just click the button and everything's fine. So it says okay, I would like to rent now, and as soon as I do that, it's gonna say I don't have enough tokens, please go buy some. It says oh okay. So let me go back to the dashboard. For the CCIEs, they have mock labs, which is a fake test that you can take. It's much cheaper than the real test. It's only 200 tokens, so $200 full price. If you bought the tokens when they were on sale, maybe it's $100 or even less. Some of us had, plunked down the money when it was cheap, and it's worth it. And there's the middle ground, which is the graded labs, which is like you have 2 hours, but it's not a full-scale lab. It's just, a few topics, and that's $30. Very good to test one topic or just a few topics. You can have bookmarks in your videos that you want to go back to. When you're logged in, you can go to the store and buy stuff. So if I wanted to say I want to buy, well, since we're talking about CCNA, CCIE voice, CCIE security, CCIE routing and switching, I want the old course. This would be $100 to download it. But don't do that, because if you make an account, you see here it says free CCNA streaming. There's 2 courses that are absolutely free. You just need to make an account. Routing and switching, CCNA routing and switching, and CCNA voice are free. This is the older version. The new version is being recorded right now. If you wanted to attend the new version live, it's $200, which is still a steal compared to a boot camp. So if you buy it, you can watch it over and over and over and over. Are they going to make it for free, like this one was? I don't know. When I asked Brian McGann about this, he's like, we have no intention to enter this market like CBT Nuggets does, because we prefer to concentrate on the CCIE stuff because that's where the real money is, and there's too much competition. CCNA Voice, another course that you can do for free. I don't know how current it is, but you could do some voice over IP stuff. So that's how does it look like if you click routing and switching. This is 23 hours worth of content. It's probably, yeah, look, 640-802. It's the older version. And you can watch it for free. If you have no money, maybe a good idea. As long as you have internet, you can watch this over and over. It's 23 hours, so you know, a few days, and you can go through all of this, and then you can have a better understanding about what book to buy next, because some of the new topics are not in there. What else can I show you guys? Does anyone have any question? Yes, this is the full CCNA. Yeah. If we go back to the title page, there's that they have training packages if you have a bunch of people at your company as well. They have boot camps. Notice how there's an absence of CCNA. As I said, they're not trying to do much. They're doing the CCNP stuff and it's brand new, but they don't know if that's going to pan out. As far as resources, there's a ton of resources. They have a blog which has a ton of information. They have vSeminars, which is just like, let's talk about multicast, but it's not a course. It's just like a whole day of multicast. And they have the discussion forum that we're going to talk about later. And you can see people that have gone through INE. Here's, the people that have agreed to share their numbers with INE and have used their product to pass. This is from all types of CCIEs. As you can see, it's pretty extensive, but you should probably just check out the CCNA stuff and judge for yourself. Some people say that the material is on a higher level. It's not as broken down as CBT Nuggets, but it's very, very, very good. Later in your career, you will cross path with INE for sure. If you start with them, you can definitely end it with them as well, because they are able to bring you all the way to the CCIE, no problem.
So that was a good demo by Paul, and if you have any more questions about INE, you could direct those questions to Paul, because my INE account does not work anymore, unfortunately. Okay, so continuing on. Let's see, hold on. Where did my screen go? There we go. All right. So organizing all your stuff, you're going to have all these workbooks, PDFs. There's just going to be a ton of files. I like using cloud storage to organize that. That way I can access it from any one of my different laptops and computers. And if I want, I can access it from a computer at work. OneDrive is popular. It used to be called Microsoft SkyDrive. And I think they recently upped the storage, so it's something like 15 gigs for free right now on OneDrive. And if you pay a little bit more money, you can up that storage significantly. There's also Dropbox, there's SugarSync. There's tons of cloud storage services out there, but OneDrive and Dropbox are the main ones. There's also Google Drive as well that hooks into Gmail and all those other things.
SkyDrive for Microsoft.
Yeah, well, SkyDrive is OneDrive now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, someone sued Microsoft and they had to change the name, which I think is kind of dumb. How could you mistake that? But whatever. Okay, we have traditional colleges and university classes. So this is a little different than the short classes and the boot camps. This is where you do it over a semester or maybe a quarter. So we're talking 3 to 6 months. The main vehicle for that, the main place you're going to do that is the community college system. And this is something that we have is very popular in at least Southern California. We have community colleges elsewhere, but California is kind of the place where the community college, the 2-year degree college kind of started, and it spread from there. Current prices, $46 a unit. Usually these CCNA classes are 3-4 units, so you can do a class for about $300. But realize that it is spread over a several month period. And many of these places are a full Cisco network academy. So actually the CCNA program is done over 2 years. The main one down here is called Coastline Community College. We also have Pasadena Community College. These places have lots and lots of racks of labs, good professors. Actually, one of my good friends is a professor at Pasadena Community College. He is also a network engineer at NBC Universal, so he's got real experience along with teaching. And it's a physical classroom experience. So some of you guys like that. You want to put on that backpack. You want to kind of go back to school, go back to class, and it can be a interesting, good experience if you miss going to school. One thing to realize is, versus online classes, you're going to have travel time. It can be time consuming, getting ready for school. My friend's name is Aaron Hamachi. The bad thing is there is a fixed start and stop time on the semester system. So if you're looking at class and the next class starts in January and the class has already begun, you're kind of stuck. You're kind of in a dead zone where you can't just jump in there. So that's the bad thing. Sometimes the winter and summer classes are offered, and those are the accelerated courses. They might meet from like 9 to 5 type stuff. But generally for vocational stuff like CCNA, winter and summer courses sometimes, or a lot of times, aren't offered. And especially in Southern California, if you do the CCNA program, the networking academy through a community college, they're going to throw an exam voucher for you. So they always include that. There's another option other than community college. This is an interesting one that's pretty new. It is Western Governors University. It's a fully accredited 4-year and master's university. It's all online, and it's cheap. It's cheap for a 4-year university. It's about $3,000 per semester. Now you may be saying, geez, $3,000, that's a lot more than a community college. Well, it works a little bit differently. You pay the $3,000, the $2,890 for the semester, but you can take as many classes as you want. So you can power level. If you're out of work, you could go full bore, full retard, and knock out like 8 classes if you want, and finish your 4-year degree in a year or something like that. Western Governors University is designed for all types of people. If you're looking for that 4-year degree, if you're working and you have like 3 out of 4 years of a degree, you want to finish it, it's for them. And then if you want to get your master's in IT, that's also another way. It's not just for IT. They offer nursing and everything, but I'm guessing most of you would be interested in IT level, in IT topics. Here's a cool thing. The certification test that you take count for units towards your degree. So if you take a CCNA while in that program, you get basically like a class credit towards your degree. If you're a working professional and you've already passed like CCNA, CCNP, CISSP, VMware, all this stuff, when you transfer into Western Governors University, that will knock like 2 years off your degree, 2 or 3 years. So it will be a significant cut in the time it takes to get your degree. So I know some of you guys are out there, you're in IT, but you're kind of hitting that glass ceiling where they're always asking for a degree, or maybe they're asking for a master's now. WGU is a good place to go. And if you guys want, my same friend who teaches at Pasadena Community College, I might be able to get him in to talk about Western Governor University, because he got his master's through WGU. So he's on my Facebook. He was posting that, oh, I passed this test. I got some 3 credits towards my degree. It's like, dude, that's awesome. So very good program to go through. And if you compare it to other 4-year degrees, it's awesome. We have extension classes. These are pretty much boot camps. They're short, but they could be spread apart like 5 Saturdays in a row. Extension courses are generally offered by universities that want to basically make money on the side. They're not full university courses, and they're kind of stuff thrown in there. And I'm not too hot on extension classes. I mean, for the money, you could take a real boot camp, or you could do a traditional college. It just seems that extension classes are something to extract money off of people that want kind of like they want that UCLA name in there, but really it's got nothing to do with UCLA other than it's run by UCLA Extension, and it might be on a UCLA campus, and that's kind of about it. So I don't really recommend them for CCNA level classes. And Abram also says there's adult education. Yeah, there's Trade Tech, LA Trade Tech. There's ROP is another option that I forgot about. Regional Occupation Program. One of the famous ones out here is West Covina and La Puente offer like this kind of like this Uber A+ CCNA Cisco course that you could do for practically free. So there's lots of options out there. Your local unemployment office will probably know about all the cheap and free training options around you. Okay, any questions about the traditional college or university classes? A very viable option, but just realize that the community college option, you're kind of set in this time. You're kind of locked into this time. So if you want to go fast, it's kind of impossible to go fast because it's done on the semester system.
Yeah, but a lot of those are Cisco Network Academy. So you're going to get the full real Cisco curriculum. If they are a Cisco Academy, you're going to have access to Packet Tracer that comes with it. You can have financing through a college. If you ask the government for a loan, it might be a great way to pay for it. It's great.
Yeah, speaking of financing, California offers, I'm sure most states offer some type of free courses. Here it's called the Board of Governors Grant. So if you make less than a certain amount of money or you're unemployed, they will waive all of your fees while at community college. So this is what I actually did for my Sheriff's Academy. I got a Board of Governors grant that paid for my entire Sheriff's Academy for free. So that was pretty good. But you could do the same thing for Cisco as well. So it's not a bad deal.
And especially what's great at colleges is that most of them have hardware right there that you can experience and get touchy-feely with. If they are a reasonably big college, they might have a lot of hardware. So sometimes you can go to class when there's no class and ask to say, hey, can I play with 50 routers? And they might say yes. They might open up and just say, knock yourself out. We'll have, someone to make sure that you don't walk out with the equipment and knock yourself out. Have fun. So that can be a really nice experience, and it can be really great to network with other people that are taking those classes and start to form those professional relationships. Kind of like, hey, me and so were in this class, and he got a job there, and then there was an opening, and then he thought I was pretty good, so he called me and says, hey, do you want a job, blah blah. It's there's tons of stories like this.
Yeah, Coastline has racks and racks and racks, dozens of racks of gear. It's pretty crazy. Everything from ASAs to phones, all the routers and switches, and it's pretty fun. They have open labs on Saturday. You just walk in and start plugging stuff in. Sometimes it's interesting because people forget what, I thought I was plugged into my rack, but I accidentally plugged into your rack. It gets kind of hairy when there's a lot of students in there. And they have a problem with missing console cables. Console cables, like people steal the console cables. I don't know why, but that's kind of disheartening. But, such is life.
I mean, I don't think that they steal them. I think that they just forget to put them back, and they're like in their laptop, so they just pack them up and leave. But that's not. It seems every college has a problem with that.
Yeah. Okay, any questions about traditional classes? Okay, we'll zoom through the rest of this. I know we're already at the 2-hour mark. Simulations, if you don't have the money to buy real gear, you can simulate much of this. Obviously, we'd prefer that you get real gear, but just in some cases, it's not possible. So the CCNA test, the reason we want to simulate or buy real gear is it's going to have practical questions. It's not a multiple choice only test. It's going to have questions where you have to type in stuff like configure the host name and then do these 3 things, right? So you need to be able to do that fast. GNS3, all of you guys hopefully have seen GNS3 videos on RouterGODS and other places. That's a viable option. Works fine. Does take some getting used to if you're not familiar with it. We've got the upcoming Cisco modeling labs. I call it CAML, but I guess it's officially like CML, but you hear some people call it CAML. I guess it's coming out soon, but it will allow you to simulate a lot of stuff, very much like GNS3. Packet tracer, and technically only available if you're going through Cisco Networking Academy, but if you make a good attempt at finding it, you can find it. It's very good. It's pretty much all you need. If you just want to simulate for CCNA, Packet Tracer will get the job done. And in many ways, the interface is pretty slick. And but when you type commands on Packet Tracer, when you do that question mark, it's not a full-on emulator. It's not running the entire iOS image, so you're just going to get a subset of commands. Boson makes their NetSim. It's been around for a long time. It's been around for like decades, I think, pretty much, and it's an option. But these days, Packet Tracer GNS3 will do the job. And then there's the Wendell Odom Network Simulator. I've not played with it, so I can't give you an opinion of whether it's good or not, but I guess Paul has.
I've played with all of them. If someone needs a demo of NetSim, I have it. I have the network simulator as well. These are all great tools. I would just say one of them is going to be good enough. If you can have Packet Tracer, it's probably the better one because it's going to allow you the simulation mode. But the next one, NetSim, is pretty darn good too. The network simulator is the baby of Wendell Odom. So like if you like his stuff and you have his book, that's going to be really, really, really nice. It's pretty much the same thing. The only exception in here is GNS3, which is full-blown iOS. Hard to do switching though. Very hard to do switching in there. So you might need something else or have access to real switches. But yeah, I mean, NetSim, it's very decent.
Okay, Chris has a question. Is there a new GNS3 Windows version out yet? They're still on the was it 861 or whatever it is. Now, if you have the alpha, then you've donated, you can get alpha. But yeah. But for CCNA, Packet Tracer will work just fine. Okay, I guess well, we're running short of time, so I'll do another meetup on doing Packet Tracer. So general study tips, CCNA level, most important thing, have fun. I mean, yeah, it's don't look at it as like, crap, I got to learn this. No, have fun. And when you're in front of a router, in front of some unknown thing, and there's buttons, click every button, type commands, have no fear. It's not going to hurt you. Nothing's going to bite. Police aren't going to arrest you unless you load up, ion cannon and you fire it at someone. But don't worry about clicking the wrong thing or making a mistake. CCNA level, it's more like, hey, let me type this command. Let's see what happens, type deal. Now, of course, if you're at work on production gear, don't do that. But but if you're on your own gear, you're on simulated gear, hey, do whatever you want. The Cisco Learning Network does have a very good document on learning how to learn. It's basically aimed for people who are getting back into, kind of like you've been out of school for 5 years, like, ooh, how do I study now? So they give you some very good tips. I put a link there. Some people like computer note-taking versus handwritten, but there are studies out there. You can search for them. Handwritten notes win hands down versus computer note-taking as far as memory retention. Now, there's been study upon study for that. Now, kind of getting yourself into a schedule, I had a list of topics at the top from Cisco. You can click on that, print out the PDF, print that out, carry them with you, and kind of, as you go through the topics, check them out, check them off. Like, okay, they want to talk about this, about VLANs. Okay, I'll study that today, and then check it off and say, okay, I studied this on Tuesday. And save it to your cloud storage. And it can be overwhelming looking at all those topics, but just divide them up into sections. Just say, okay, today I'll do VLANs, or today I'll do OSPF, or this part of OSPF. Yeah, OSPF is a big topic, so saying I'll do OSPF today is not specific enough. Say something like, okay, next week I'll do OSPF neighbors. I'll do all these things in Packet Tracer with that. So Alex has a question, are you going to do CCNA wireless meetup anytime soon? So the problem with CCNA wireless is to really take full advantage of that, you're going to need to have access points, wireless LAN controller, and not everyone has that. It would probably be a very lecture heavy meetup, and I don't like doing that. So that's the difficulty with a wireless meetup versus routing and switching, because routing and switching, we just do like Packet Tracer and have at it. But for CCNA wireless, I don't think everyone's going to have like 1142 APs and 5508, wireless LAN controller. So that's the problem. The biggest topic hurdles, I'm sure Paul will have something to add to this, but the biggest thing is just not even starting. You're just so paralyzed, oh crap, don't know where to start. But what I see in teaching, these are kind of like the 4 things that people have trouble with. And if you can get past these 4, you've got it made, because everything else is just kind of trivia out there. Subnetting, that's the tough one, is subnetting. Probably in all of CCNA, this topic, doing subnetting and doing it fast is the biggie. And if you screw up here, if you don't learn subnetting in CCNA, CCNP and CCIE are going to hurt, because they're going to throw like weird subnets at you. They just expect you to know it. VLANs and trunking, That's also very important. That's something a lot of people don't get. And I think the reason for this is a lot of times you don't have access to a set of switches, like 2 or 3 switches, and you don't trunk. You know, a lot of people have access to one switch, and you know how to do VLANs, but you don't really understand how trunking works because you've never seen it go across multiple switches. OSI model, that's difficult because oftentimes it's very abstract. You haven't been used to learning like a standard way of doing things, so you haven't seen this before, and it's like, okay, well, you know, network and data link, and you know, it's using words that you haven't recognized before. It's very unfamiliar to you. And then the routing stuff, you know, just visualizing the routing. I know Scott Morris has a very good tip, like imagine yourself as the router and how the packets would look. You know, that's all well and good, but sometimes you know, it really depends on the instructor at this point. Can the instructor explain this stuff so you go, okay, I get it, I see it. You know, a lot of times, like if you go to you know, let's say you get a bad instructor at a community college or even a boot camp, they're just reading off the PowerPoint. They're just reading off the RFC. It's just like, dude, you're not teaching me. You're just reading that paragraph. Like I could have just done it myself. You know, whereas you want to say like, how does the router how does the router do that OSPF? What happens on that link? What packet should I see when I start OSPF? You know, that type of stuff.
Let me comment on that. When you look at all the material, you might freeze. You might say, oh my gosh, I gotta learn all those things. The way to look at it is read a little bit, read on what it is and why it's there, because someone made it for a reason. Find out what the reason is, and then just, you know, lab that part. Take manageable bites. Don't try to read the whole book and then lab. You will not understand the advanced topics before you understand the basics of it. So learn the absolute basics and lab that. Then go a little bit further and lab the basics and that, you know, bit further. And then go in that way. Keep going back and labbing the basics. Don't underestimate them. It's very easy to forget and say, I don't need to lab that, I know it. Be like, no, just lab it constantly. Make combinations. Ask people to make you labs. Make your own labs. Mess things up. It's all about labbing and repeating and questioning yourself. Test yourself. And it will be very much easier to take your exam.
Yep, that's good advice. Also see if you can explain it to someone else. So if you study VLANs and you think you got it, bring in a friend, tell them you're going to explain to them VLANs and have them be like kind of like the bastard in the classroom and ask you weird questions. So they're going to kind of put you on the hot seat. One tip that I forgot to tell you about is it's pretty powerful. So you get this book and it's 500 pages or 600 pages. It looks overwhelming. You know, how do you approach that? Well, yeah, you take it one step at a time, but how exactly do you do that? This is one tip I give everyone. Put the book on your bed or right near your bed. It has to be somewhere close to where you can get to it when you wake up. As soon as you wake up, before you take a shower or do anything else, read a page, at least one page. And you'll find that you'll probably read 2 pages, 3 pages. You know, you're not going to stop at 1 page, but just say, read 1 page. That's it. And so you may think 1 page is not a lot. Well, it's not. But what happens is you look back and you start work, you go, damn, I already read a page before I even got to work. I started my day off reading that book. So you've already done something towards your goal of CCNA. I'm going to ask you guys a question. How many of you guys are going for CCNA or CCNP or CCIE? You bought the book, and at the end of the day, you've said, shit, I didn't read a single page. I did nothing. I didn't even watch a video. I'm sure that's happened. That's happened to me where I've gone through a whole day and go, I did absolutely nothing to do that, right? To go towards my goal. Well, if you start your day just reading one page, hey, I did something at least, right? And if you keep that book right by your bed, it's not just gonna be one page. You'll be out the door, you'll read 10 pages and you'll go, cool. If I do that for 30 days, that's 300 pages. So yeah, it may seem weird, but you keep that book right next to you, and it'll be good. You can't help but make it a habit and just read it. Yeah, and in the chat, people are saying, yeah, that's me. I've done that. Okay, study groups. We're not the only game in town, definitely. There are other study groups that do a good job. I've mentioned the New York meetup, blessed with good pizza and good mass transit. William's a good guy. We email back and forth. The Chicago meetup seems to be the second largest, after second or third largest after us. The New York and Chicago kind of seems like where meetup tends to do very well. San Francisco is another place that meetups do very well. LA's weird because we just have to drive everywhere, and there are some that are popular, but for the most part, not. There are Cisco user groups. Southern California, we have one. The Silicon Valley one is a really nice one. They cheat hardcore because the guy who runs the Silicon Valley Cisco user group is a Cisco employee, and they get a Cisco lab, an open lab every Saturday. How much, you can't beat that. And so they get to go to Cisco, they get to meet at Cisco and do labs at Cisco. And it's pretty nice. And they also have a cool thing called the hot seat, where if you think you're ready for CCNA or CCNP, you can schedule a hot seat, and basically they meet and they grill you. They say, okay, you think you know CCNA, right? Bam, subnetting, do this. Or bam, answer this switching question. So they all get to say, okay, at the end of the day, they say, well, yeah, we think you're ready. Or no, I don't think you should pay that money. So it's pretty good. So Roberto says, are there any meetups in New Jersey or study groups? Yeah, the New York one would be it for you. You can go on Meetup, you could search for closest meetups, but I'm going to guess that the New York meetup would be the one for you. We got some online forums. Tech Exams is a good one. Reddit is a good one. We have links to all of those. Cisco Learning Network, of course, is the official one. And Paul added the INE CCNA forum. All very good. We've got our chat room for as well. You click on there, you make up a nickname. Doesn't have to be your real name. We don't care. Although it would be nice to kind of know who you are, but whatever. And there's excellent source of online forums for you to go to. Never underestimate the power of an online forum. You can get lots of good information from there. Any questions about other study groups or online forums? And of course, as I said, if you don't see a study group near you, make one. That's how RouterGods was formed. I looked on meetup.com. I didn't see any Cisco study group as far as certification. At the time, the Southern California Cisco user group was available, but they only met one time a month, and it was run by Ascolta. So there was no independent one, so I made one, and we started meeting up at coffee shops in Orange County, and then it grew to Panera, then it grew to Starbucks, and it went nuts. And you're looking right now, we're at 800 plus people. Okay. All right, free online labs. If you don't have money to buy a lab, to buy some gear, I've got 3 links there. These guys offer their labs for free. I'm sure there's more than 3, but those are the 3 that are popular. The Sharon Tools one is pretty nice. You're going to see a demo right now because this person's got Juniper stuff. Ooh, Juniper, M series router there. Got some VMware ESX stuff, some Nexus 1000 Vs. That's pretty nice. So, if you ever want to play with Juniper stuff, you click connect, and oh, there you go. Yeah, it gives you the port and the password and stuff like that. Look at that password, 123456. It's an awesome password. So, you can do the web connect or client connect, either way. So now the problem with the free online lab is sometimes the scheduling, because it's free, it's a free-for-all. It's just whatever can go in, unless they have a scheduling tool. So it can be that you're stepping on each other, the router is busy or whatever, but hey, it's free. Study software, I like using the Anki flashcards, make your own flashcards, and there are CCNA pre-made flashcards out there if you search. So just download that. A little shopping list for you guys who kind of don't know where to start in buying stuff. You're going to need a USB to serial cable for your console cable. You're going to also need to procure a console cable. Usually you don't need to buy one. Your company bought a router and just take that one. Appropriate it to your own studies. I always recommend that you get a cheapo, unmanaged gigabit switch. Just so it makes learning ARP and MAC addresses and stuff like that very easy, very simple. A source for Cat6 cables. Now if you want to learn cabling, it's a very essential tool to have. It's not, well, I consider it essential because you never know when you need to make a cable, right? It's embarrassing to have two routers next to each other, right on top of each other, and you have a 50-foot cable in between because you didn't know how to make that 1-footer. So it's definitely an essential skill, and you never know when that could be the tiebreaker in a network job. So let's say you are going against, you are one of the 2 people left for a networking job, right? A entry-level CCNA level job. And the interviewer likes both of you. Both of you have the same education background. Both of you have the same practical skill for the most part. And the tiebreaker could be, you know what? Both of you are the same. I like you both. Shit, I need to pick a tiebreaker, right? Well, make a crossover cable. And he could throw you that cable and the crimper. And if you don't know it, well, maybe the other guy does, and now you've lost out. But it's just a good practical skill to have to be able to cable stuff.
Well, I mean, in the real world, people love problem solvers. Be like, oh, we don't have a cable for this, we should order one. It's nice to say, do you have a crimper? Do you have cable? Do you have the ends? I can make one real quick that will just work for now while the one that we're ordering is coming in, so that like we can do stuff. You definitely want to have that literally on your tool belt, to just be like, it's something that will happen. People forget stuff. It says, hey, we ordered 5 routers, we forgot, the cables didn't come in, now we have to wait. You can be like, no, we don't have to wait, let's rock this right now. Let's go, buy a box of cable and just do it right there, right now. So that shows, how much of a professional you are, and that you're not going to stop just because of a cable that you can make.
Yep, and it's really easy. You can search on YouTube. YouTube videos show you how to do it. Also, if you order anything from Panduit, they give you that fold-out sheet, and it has a diagram, gives you step 1, do this, step 2, do this. So it's a very easy skill, but it will definitely set you apart from everywhere else, anyone else. Okay, you decide to get your own lab. What are the options there? Well, one thing is you might not need to buy anything, because if work has some gear, hey, appropriate it. It'll be no cost. Look in the storage closet. Ask your boss, hey, do you have any switches that I can use? Sometimes they won't let you take it home. Maybe it has to stay at work. That's fine. We have a situation like that here at Panda. We just have to keep it at work. But I put that put this second point here. Sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. Sometimes just take the damn thing, and if they don't know, I'm not advocating that you steal it. You know, it's going to come back, but you know, if it's not being used, it's sitting in the corner, hey, you know, make use of it. If your only option is to play on production gear, be careful. You know, I'm not going to say whether I do this or not, but you know, if you're going to play on production gear, undo your changes when you're done. If the commands are being logged, turn off the logging. If the commands and the traps are being sent to a syslog server like a logarithm server, change the IP of the you know, either turn off that logging or send it to a different IP. You know, there's different tricks that you could do. Obviously, wait until all the employees are away from work so that you're not going to wipe out all of the wireless, right? So there's a CCIE blog out there. I think it was like CCIE in 3 months or something like that, where this guy studying for CCIE took down his whole network at night, basically recabled everything, and did a CCIE lab according to his workbook. And then before work started, he would recable everything up and reimage everything so that it's back to normal. That's pretty hardcore. That's very high risk, but if you're motivated, you can do that. I wouldn't do that here, but you know, whatever you got to do. And Roger's like, don't do that. Okay, eBay and Craigslist, those are the two places where you're going to be getting your stuff, and also your friends as well. We talked about the cheapo unmanaged switch, but all you really need for CCNA is 1 to 2 routers, preferably 2, but if you can only afford 1, that's fine. You can get the 1841s, the 841s, the ISRs for really cheap right now, and that's because all the CCIE folks are dumping their gear. You know, so really, really cheap, $100, $150, and you can get a decent router. I know a guy, he got a Cisco ASA 5510, I believe, from a guy on Craigslist for something like $80. I mean, you know, you can't beat that. 1 to 2 switches, now preferably 2 because you want to practice trunking, but if all you can afford is 1, get a 3560. They're going for about $100 right now on eBay. So for a full lab, you can get away $400, $500. That's fine. And this will carry you over into CCNP. You have to add more gear, but it's definitely okay to keep that as you go into CCNP. And if you don't have money to get the 841s, the 1841s, whatever you can buy, it can be old. You know, 2600s, as Tony says, is fine. I mean, it's a router, it'll work. And this will take care of, if you have a lab at home, a small lab at home, you come to a job interview, they say, hey, do you have any real experience with the gear? I have a lab at home. Oh, really, do you? Bust out with your iPad, show them the pictures. Yeah, I bought these 2 things off of eBay. I plugged them in, I flashed them, did all this stuff, right? And then when they compare different candidates, they'll say, dude, this guy Tony here, he's got a rack at home. He's cabled everything up. Okay, maybe he doesn't have this education or this education, but dude, this guy bought some stuff and he's doing it at home. I think we should give him a shot. And so many stories like that. All right, any questions about some of the shopping list stuff and making your own lab? Okay, so Steve had something, certificationkits.com. Okay, so I'm not going to be specific about certificationkits.com itself because I've never bought from them, so I don't have any comment. But kits in general. So you're going to see a lot of kits out there like, I'm going to give you these 2 routers, these 2 switches, and this workbook, and these cables for this set price. If you add up, if you go to eBay and you price all that out, you're going to find that generally the price that you can get everything separate from eBay is going to be cheaper than the kit. These guys put the kit together because some CCNA students, they just like, dude, I want everything in one shot, right? So there's a premium for that, right? I know a guy who bought it might have been through certificationkits.com, but he bought a CCNA security certification kit. So it's like routers, a switch, and ASA, and a workbook, and he paid a lot of money for it. More money, much like it was double than if you had bought everything separately through eBay. But this is a guy who just doesn't want to go through the hassle of buying everything separately. So, that's my view on kits. But, if you just don't have the time to do the eBay thing or the Craigslist thing, then that may be your only option. Yeah, you got to be careful about those workbooks. Yeah.
I had a question about, having your own gear as far as if there's like any instructions or manuals that'll help you connect everything. Like if you buy those kits things, they give you stuff that tell you how everything is connected, right?
Yeah, so if you've bought the workbook, usually your textbook will say, hey, we're going to do this lab, connect this to this. But a lot of times when you buy your own gear, you're on your own, right? And it's just like real life. It's like, okay, I'll give you a good example. The guy who bought the certification kit for security, right? The ASA had an old image. Well, crap, how do I upgrade the image? Where's the documentation? And he's like fumbling through. Now, is that a bad thing? No, it's not a bad thing, because that's what's going to happen at work. You're going to come up on ASA, the image needs to be upgraded, right? So a lot of times getting used to that uncertainty, getting used to, okay, how do I find this stuff? How does this, what happens when I cable from here to here? Well, when you have your own gear, there's no one necessarily like looking over your shoulder. There's no like a virtual Paul or a virtual Humphrey hologram Paul just standing there. Although I guess you could do a webcam and say, hey, I'm doing this. But, it's practically on you. But that's what's good about it when you go to a job interview. Say, hey, I got these two routers. No one told me how to do this, but I figured out how to set up Telnet. I figured out how to cross-connect them. I figured out how to do a switch to the router and connect, do DHCP. Like, I figured it. So, now if you put me on your real network, I kind of know what the hell I'm doing. So that's what's good about it. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking for like exact labs, a lot of times when you buy your own gear, you're not going to find that. You're just going to have to improvise a lot of times. But, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes, there's some people who want that hand-holding, but sometimes that hand-holding's not so good. You need to learn how it is to kind of be on your own. Okay, we're getting towards the end, and let's see. Tony has a question. Is ASA something good to add to the CCNA lab or just in CCNA security? No, it's good. If you can buy ASA, get it, because a lot of companies have an ASA for their firewall. And you could say something like, well, I don't have my CCNA security, but I bought an ASA. I know how to do IPsec tunnels. I know how to set up VPN. Have that picture of that ASA on your iPad and say, dude, it's right here on top of the 1841. Okay, last thing for our veterans out there. Don't overlook the GI Bill and Dante's. This is where the government will help you pay for some or part of or most of your studies. You earned it. You might as well use it. GI Bill especially. I hate to see veterans out there who get out of the service and you have like 5 or 10 years to use this and they don't use it. It's like, dude, you can pay for your 40-year degree and all your certs with the GI Bill. It's going to waste. $30,000 is going to waste. That's free money. That's for you. It can reimburse for classes and exams. New Horizons like full into GI Bill. You could get your GI Bill while at New Horizons. Community college, same way. So, don't forget about that. And even if the company doesn't offer the GI Bill, they're not reimbursable because only certain places can get reimbursed for GI Bill. Still ask them about veteran discounts. I know like INE and IP Expert both, if you say, hey, I was in the military, I'm about to get out, or my enlistment's about to be up, I'm about to get out, don't have a lot of money, can you give me a discount? Most of the time they'll give you a discount. You just have to ask, right? So never be afraid to ask. And if you can get the GI Bill to pay, that's awesome. Okay, we have a couple member questions from Gexo. When will CCNA group study sessions start? That I can't answer. Once again, we say we're not going to have full CCNA like from start to finish. It's just whenever we pick. I'm going to guess like we'll have some in the future on some topics within a month or so, but that's not a set date. And he asked, will they be physical or through Google Talk? All my stuff is online, so we're trying to use Fuse. Trying to get physical. If you want to set your own physical personal meetup group, that's fine as well. And Chris has a question. Will there any possibility of regular Paul challenge labs for groups to keep us sharp? I know Paul's very much into challenge labs. Now regular, that's, Paul only has so much time. And can others organize it? Yes, always. Don't wait for us. Do your own labs if you don't see us doing it. But I'm sure Paul has an answer to that.
Yeah, just like everything, do your research, do your training, and when you think that you understand, the bulk of it and you're ready for your exam, or you just want to just say, yeah, I think that I got this, you can drop an email in and just be like, hey, I would like to know if I'm ready for my test. Come to me. I will make you cry. I will attempt to make you cry. And if you can pass it and you're not phased, chances are you're more than ready. But it's more like my labs have like a bit of everything. So and it's really practical. It's like do this, and this, and here's your restriction, and here's how to do this, just like you would have in like a real job. And then so that it's more applied, it's less theory, it's more practice. But anyone can make me a lab and just see me go through it. I like to get challenged as well. You guys can challenge each other. Anyone can make labs for somebody else, and it's especially good because if you don't know what's in the lab and you don't know exactly how to do it because you've made the lab, it's kind of like trying to tickle your own self. It's really, really hard because you know what you're doing. It's when you don't know what's coming and you get hit in the face with like, oh man, I gotta do DHCP with EIGRP, and there's some that in there, and there's this and this and this and this. This is where you kind of get into like a mode of you just like buckle down and you do it live with someone. Ask them how they do it, explore the way that they're doing it, ask them questions that says, why did you do that before that? And there should be a logical answer. But in short, I can make labs on the fly. It's really not that hard for any level, including IE. I'm not IE, but I'm sure that Humphrey knows a couple of tricks that are like, like I was studying, I saw this type of situation, and let's see if you can figure it out. Yeah, just ask. If someone is really, really nice and we have good participation, we might make a meetup where we're going to play with, labs. I have Sundays where I have an open lab, and regularly some people say I'm about to take my test, and I'm like, okay, I load them a lab and they're like, wow, I had no idea this was that hard. Be like, yeah, there you go. Welcome to CCNA. So that's about it. Any questions?
Let's see. So we have any clues or hints I should look for to see if I'm passionate about Cisco networking? That's all on you. We can't clues or hints. I mean, if you like learning new stuff, you like to be on command line, that would be a clue. But you got to be in this because you like networking, not because you're looking for the money. So I've seen this a lot. I'm in it for the money. That's a horrible, horrible thing. Generally, the people who do good in networking are the people who are doing this stuff at home. We tend to be geeks anyways. Like I know Paul and I, we like gaming. Gamers tend to, we build big, big, nice, shiny PCs, water cooling. We get into all this other stuff that's IT related, and versus a guy who's like 6 p.m. I want nothing to do with a computer. Those guys, there's a place for them, but those are typically the guys who are like, hey, I'm trying to get Evernote to work, and I'm a PMP, and I don't know how to get Evernote to work. It's like, dude, really? I'm sure you can see this these days where a 20-year-old kid, just with the stuff he does on his off time, if he's a gamer, if he plays like World of Warcraft, League of Legends, or whatever, he's got a decent computer. That guy probably knows more about computing than a lot of people who have gone through like a 4-year IT degree. And honestly, the 20-year-old kid who's worked on his computer, who's done water cooling, all that, the guy has no fear. So, that's kind of what you're up against in today's job market, is that there are people out there who do this on their off time. And if you add up all those hours, then, he's already spent like 10,000 hours doing computer stuff.
Yeah, and it's, speaking of that, there's one point that we didn't touch on. Volunteer. If you're looking for experience, go volunteer. You can do competitions. You can manage your church network. You can do all sorts of stuff to get experience for free. Sure, it will be time consuming, but it might be worth it. You're going to meet some people, and who knows, you might get a job out of it. You can gain experience from volunteering. If you can't find a job because they're like, well, you don't have your CCNA, you don't have experience, you didn't work in the field, do something. If you were studying to be a mechanic, you would probably go see all your neighbors and say, if you buy all the parts, I will do your brakes. If you buy, I will swap your battery for you for free just for the experience to work on your car. Now, it's up to them to say yes or no, but like this is a learning experience. Certification is not real life. Certification is just topics that you will see in real life. That's why you're certified. But by all means, if you can bug someone about, hey, we have a contract, we're doing this, can I help you out? Can I just be there? I won't charge you anything. Can I just lend a hand? I just want to, I'm interested, I'm passionate, and I really want to make this happen. Sometimes you can even get paid, like minimum wage or whatever, just do it. Get out there, like if you really want to make it happen, make it happen.
Yep, speaking of volunteering, one good place to volunteer is LAN parties. Yes, they still happen. Big one, QuakeCon, West Coast would be PDX LAN in Portland. I actually covered PDX LAN when I was at Tom's Hardware. Several hundred computers, they need help setting up switches, the routers. They need people to look at ARP attacks, just people being bastards on the network. So there's the security side on it. They have people looking at the WAN because they get in a temporary gigabit or multi-gigabit internet connection. So this is very, very good experience. And when people have a contest, they're on a contest VLAN. So, and you get to see like everyone's crazy computer, which is awesome. So this is good. If you're on the East Coast, there is a LAN party every year in New Jersey. I forgot the name, but I went to it as part of Tom's Hardware. It is set in a fire station, ambulance station. So they use the proceeds to pay for the ambulance and the fire company. And the guy who does the network there, he is a CCIE. He's full board CCIE, but I'm sure if you go there, they'll appreciate the help. Any type of LAN party, if you go in there and say, hey, I'm going for my CCIE, I'd like to volunteer, definitely. Doesn't have to be a LAN party. It can be like most conventions. Interopt is another one that you can volunteer for. Interopt in Las Vegas, although you have to apply pretty early. And that's a good one to volunteer because that looks really good on your resume. DEF CON's kind of selective in their, you got to be pretty good to be picked as a DEF CON NOC network volunteer, but that is an option. So yeah, churches always appreciate free help, but LAN parties are very good as well, and it's fun to see all this stuff. If you can plunk down the money, go to Sweden. They have a LAN party called DreamHack, and it is crazy. I mean, we're talking as far as the eye can see. You want a LAN party? That's a LAN party. That's a stadium filled with computers. Imagine how their network is. It's a multi-gigabit incoming connection for that. And just imagine all the hell, all the port scans and attacks that happen there. So I'm sure they would love volunteers.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I've talked with them, and any help that they can get is great, and if you're a fan about gaming, and you fly there and you go there and you just want that experience, and you're willing to do it for free, or like maybe like you can sneak in backstage and go watch like your favorite gamers up close and say hi. Totally worth it. Totally worth it.
Yeah, and it's good just to go to a LAN party, just to see. If you are not volunteering, just say, hey, can I come in and just check it out? I'm sure there's a LAN party near you that you can see. And as much passion as the CCIEs have for networking, you've seen all of our crazy CCIE meetups. These people have the same passion for getting their computers fixed up. So you're going to see like crazy dual video card, water cooling, neon lights, weird cases and ammo cans and stuff like that. So, that's definitely good to see.
Did you know that the whole CCIE portion of Cisco Live, they asked members of the Network Academy from around the world to help them? We're talking crazy networks, multiple terabyte network, and some people that were in Networking Academy got a chance to play with that, with devices that are worth, I don't know, $200,000, $300,000 each, and there's a room full of them. It's pretty awesome. So, if you're part of Cisco Academy, you can apply and tell why you should go, and it's a full expense paid trip. It's pretty awesome.
Nice. And actually, that gave me an idea. Who would like, if I can get the network engineer that handles one of these big LAN parties, who would like a little meetup with that guy, and I'll get him to show like pictures and how he does it, and kind of like the back end of how a LAN party actually works. So if you would like that, email me or email the list and get your thoughts in there. I think that would be a good one, and especially if I can get like the guy from QuakeCon in here to talk about the network, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, we might need to plug down some beer money, but that's
oh yeah,
possible.